A trillion-dollar digital empire is currently waking up, a workforce of algorithms reshaping how the modern American economy builds and grows wealth. In a gold rush, the people selling picks and shovels usually out-earn the miners. Today, that wealth concentrates in the unglamorous infrastructure required to make consumer AI apps actually function. The industry faces a massive bottleneck. For an algorithm to become smart, it has to learn from mountains of high-quality, cleanly labeled information. If you want an AI to drive a car, you have to show it millions of pictures of stop signs and pedestrians. A human has to tag and label every single one of those images, so the machine knows exactly what it is looking at. This meticulous process is called data labeling. That brings us to Alexandr Wang. He recognized this exact problem and founded Scale AI. Instead of trying to build the smartest algorithm, his company provided the essential data labeling tools that every other prospector needed, securing a multi-billion-dollar enterprise valuation in the process. The foundation of this digital wealth boom rests entirely on this highly essential, heavy-lifting data infrastructure. Naturally, when a powerful new technology arrives, the everyday worker worries. It feels like these tools exist purely to make human labor obsolete. But the political economist Joseph Schumpeter viewed this differently. In 1942, he popularized the concept of creative destruction, the idea that a free market is always evolving, and that displacing older, less efficient methods is a healthy, natural process. Take the late 1800s. We saw constant incremental improvements to horse and buggy transportation. Then Henry Ford introduced the Model T in 1908. A superior innovation arrived, and the legacy horse and buggy industry was driven into obsolescence. This creates friction in the labor market, but it also creates opportunity. Historical U.S. employment data proves that while old jobs vanish, entirely new professions explode onto the scene. As electricity replaced older power sources, the demand for commercial electricians skyrocketed from 0 to nearly 1 million workers by the end of the century. The disruption is immediate, but the long-term economic payoff of creative destruction is the creation of entirely new careers and a higher standard of living. To understand how our living standards rise, we have to look at productivity. In strict economic terms, productivity is a measure of efficiency. It is the quantity of output produced for every unit of human labor. If a baker mixes dough by hand, they might make 10 loaves of bread in an hour. Give that same baker an electric commercial mixer, and they might produce 50 loaves. They didn't work any harder or longer. The technology simply scaled their output. This chart tracks U.S. labor productivity growth. For nearly 20 years, growth was surprisingly sluggish, averaging just 1.5% a year. But in 2023, productivity suddenly surged to 2.7%. That rapid growth rate mirrors the commercial internet boom of the late 1990s. Back then, a massive build-out of telecommunications infrastructure fueled rapid business expansion and consistent GDP growth over 4%. But there is a key difference. The late 90s stock market entered a speculative bubble built on dot-com startups that had zero real revenue. Today's major AI infrastructure companies are already generating hundreds of millions of dollars by providing verifiable, essential services to massive enterprises. Regardless of stock market fluctuations, the digital tools being built today are immediately useful, actively raising the output of the American worker. We can see exactly how deeply this technology has penetrated the economy by stepping away from the headlines and looking directly at U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics data on corporate spending. This chart compares business capital investments. Recently, corporate spending on physical equipment slowed down to 1.3% annual growth, while investment in intellectual property and software surged to 11.1%. Zooming into the software category, we see a massive acceleration starting in 2022. Spending on off-the-shelf pre-packaged software nearly tripled from 2020 to 2024. Businesses are quite literally hiring digital workers. According to Pew Research, 78% of the U.S. workforce is currently employed at a company adopting AI. Surprisingly, the employees who are most exposed to these new tools are actually the most hopeful about the future. Workers using these platforms understand that AI handles the heady analytical lifting, allowing them to focus on the uniquely human parts of their roles. Looking ahead, the Bureau of Labor Statistics projects that overall U.S. employment will grow by 4% over the next decade, adding over 6.7 million jobs to the economy. This data table shows the 10-year job projections. Notice that coding jobs aren't disappearing. Employment for software developers is projected to grow by an incredible 17.9%. Because AI vastly increases their coding output, companies simply want to hire more of them to build complex systems. Moving down to the finance sector, we see a clear split. Highly repetitive paperwork roles, like claims adjusters, are shrinking. Meanwhile, demand for personal financial advisors is booming by 17.1%. People still want a human being to guide them through complex life events. This institutional shift toward software means companies are desperate to fix internal bottlenecks. You can position yourself by finding the boring, repetitive manual processes in your industry and applying basic AI tools to solve them. By providing that infrastructure for others, you mirror the success of companies like Scale AI. Focus your career on the skills a machine cannot replicate: building trust, exercising complex judgment, and demonstrating emotional intelligence. Finally, embrace the friction. Learning new technology is always frustrating at first, but if you push through that initial switchover disruption, you become the most productive person in your office. Transferring heavy labor to digital workers allows both individuals and the nation to scale wealth in ways that were previously impossible. If you found this breakdown helpful and want to master the trends shaping our economy, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below and let me know, how are you using AI in your own daily workflow? Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.